yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Hello and welcome back to the Inside NBL Show on the Supercoach Matrix. I am here with Hammer. We just made it through round 5, my friend. How do you feel after that?
Look, I definitely feel better than round 4. I've steadied the ship. It's not in free fall anymore, but it's it's probably not where I'd hoped to be. It was a good round though. We got a few things right this time.
We did. Of course, this was the big one. New Zealand came off their price rise early on in the season and honestly completely shouldn't be happening in round 5, but this is the NBL that we've been given. Mate, how'd you go this week? I feel like my week was pretty mid, so I'd love to hear some positivity.
Yeah, look, anything was up after last week. I scored 341, which was probably about what I expected. I wasn't really expecting a massive week. Some guys were, pleasant surprises. Some guys probably didn't go as well as I would have liked. But I'm sitting around that 2,000 mark. It's it's definitely a lot lower than I was hoping and expecting. But I feel like I'm in a good position now to make some moves. But mate, you were the one that we'd pinned all our hopes and dreams to. How did you go?
349. So even though I was disappointed, I still beat you.
Yeah,
Sucks to be you. But
it's a shocking year.
But look, Captain Parker Jackson Cartwright held on to Willie Magnay, which is probably why I got that tiny little bit of a jump. Sam Menenga wasn't the person we'd hoped, but I also copped a did not play on Shea Illy. That's probably where I misstepped this week. That stopped I probably had a good week, to be completely honest, but it probably stopped at a good week and didn't become a great week due to the fact that Shea Illy didn't play.
Yeah. Did you end up boosting this week?
I actually did end up boosting Casey Prather in. I was sitting there. So remember how I said about my phone not working? I would have loved to tweet that out to everybody. But I was sitting there looking and I was just like, look, what can I see Casey Prather at, say, by the time they start hitting doubles? And for me, it was 280K to 300K. And as I started to think about that, I thought, well, he's 203K at the moment. I think that's boost worthy. I boosted him in for his worst week of the year and saw him go up 26K and come into this week with a break even of 10. I don't see Brisbane changing their style going forward, so still feel like it was a worthy boost. It also ended up ruining my chances because I probably would have boosted Shea Illy out, knowing that he's going to be out probably this coming week as well. But hey, I made my bet. I'm willing to lie in it. So
yeah, and look, Prather's better than expected. I think a few things have lined up. We weren't overly high in the preseason, but I think Sam Mack being out for the year, Deng Adele's been out the last couple of weeks. He's starting to warm into that position, and we know how much Justin Schuller loves him. I think you've done the right thing. It's going to go up from here. The role's solid, and he's getting better. Even though he had a down week, he still, to the eye test, looks reasonable.
Yeah. Look, maybe that is the transition we need to get into our weekly preview scenes as the Brisbane Bullets played the first game. Maybe we can just do the little bit of news a bit later on.
You're going to leave breaking news hanging today or what?
I'm going to leave breaking news hanging today. Fuck, I love cutting you off.
You do. Mate, game 1, what did you think?
I was pretty happy as a Brisbane Bullets fan. I mean, them beating the New Zealand Breakers and or whoever they beat last week, whatever bottom feeders they beat last week, Southeast Melbourne, isn't fantastic by Brisbane. But look, they've been better. And Josh Bannon, Tyrell Harrison, Bateman and probably not Prather, but Bateman and Prather have been pretty good. And they all scored mid to late 20s.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Brisbane did not win this game. New Zealand lost it.
True.
Going down the stretch, New Zealand had their chances. Brisbane did everything they could to lose it, and somehow did a Stephen Bradbury and tripped and stumbled and fell over the line to get the W. But look, it was a great start to the round. We picked PJC, I think, along with 99% of the competition, and we got our captain on point for the first time this season. So that's going to boost up our odds of picking a captain for a bit. But he had 85 across the round. He had 41 in this one. And you know what? I reckon he underachieved. The amount of assists that went begging in this one because his teammates forgot how to catch, couldn't shoot, somehow couldn't remember what a layup is. Mate, he could have easily gone for 60 or 70 if they could hit a bunny.
I don't think, and those that are fans of the show know that I do a few different sports. But I don't think I've ever been excited about having a primo and a cash cow in the same round as I have been Parker Jackson Cartwright this week. And it was true. Yeah, it is the same guy. He's went up 22.5K at 410K. And honestly, even with a break even of 74 this week, heading into another double, he could go up in cash again.
I 100% expect him to go up. Like 74. All right, that is it's a break even of 37 a game. I think he gets it. Like both games, he had a 41, I think a 40, was it 41 to 43 or something, or 42 or something across the round. And both games I felt were under. Like he didn't play as well as he could, but there is absolutely no one on his own team taking stats off him, except for the guys who can't hit a shot, which I reckon is assists. But I think he's as close as we've ever come to having a lock since probably John Mooney with the Perth Wildcats a few years ago.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's the closest we've come to Jesus in NRL Supercoach, but you're preaching to the converted, my friend. I'm going to give you a bit of a rap here.
Yeah, hit me.
You were talking up Mooney, and I wasn't high on him, maybe because of that same mentality that this is just Parker Jackson Cartwright's team. I can't get around anyone else except for paying 150K for Sam Menenga, which probably wasn't the answer. Matt Mooney was great this week, wasn't he? Started with a 29 against the Bullets.
Yeah, enormous. He went for 71 across the round. I think it was the second best of anyone across round 5. Look, I had a mate who put him in the starting lineup late, and he has absolutely rocketed up. I don't know what the percentage ownership was, but he was a super pod. You know what I really liked about him, Matrix? Ask me and I'll tell you.
What do you really like about Matt Mooney?
Oh, thank God you asked. I will tell you right now. I loved that he had 2 really good scores. He had 29 and he had 42, and he got them in such different ways. And what that tells me is he's not just reliant on scoring. If his shot's not dropping like it wasn't in the first game, he'll find a way. So that first game, he's come out, 29 Supercoach points. He shot like shit. 6 of 17, 1 of 9 from the 3, but he had 4 steals, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. He chipped away and he got that score. Game 2, he found his shot. He hit 7 threes and he had the 42 Supercoach points. So what I'm seeing here is probably a floor and a ceiling. And I like it. I'm happy to sit in between those two.
Yeah, look, you've converted a Matt Mooney fan this week. Look, I don't think we need to talk about too many other guys except for Sam Menenga, 16 Supercoach points. What did you? Yeah, I was going to say, what did you see? I see a break even of 27 this week, and I'm not even that hopeful of him hitting it in a double.
I think he probably gets 27. Look, both games he played horribly. His shot wasn't dropping. He missed some bunnies. He he's got so much Sam Wardenberg about him, but like last year's Sam Wardenberg, where he sort of just floats around the perimeter and forgets that he's 6'11". But both games he seemed to somehow just eke out a score. He had 16 and 15, I think, in both these games, something like that. And I think that first game, he got that in like the last 4 minutes. You know, like I think the potential for him to be better is there. The minutes are definitely there, but I'm not expecting great things. But I don't think expecting 15 to 20 a game is unreasonable.
No, look, I'm happy to move on from Menenga because I'm fucking off him.
Yeah, do it.
I want to mention Max Darling's 3 Supercoach points and then move on to the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers versus the Sydney Kings, which turned out to be a better game than what I thought. I think this was a case of cream rises to the top. And look, the Jackies were in it. They come out blazing. But the Sydney Kings are just so much better than the Jack Jumpers this year. And yeah, when push come to shove, they proved it.
Yeah, look, Sydney played around all night with combinations, and they finally found a combination with like their 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th guy who could get it done against Jackie's best. The Jackies, look, they have moments on the defensive end, and they have some rare moments on the offensive end, but they just can't score the ball. I'm finding it really hard to watch their games at the moment. Despite that, though, there was some Supercoach relevant things that happened for the Jackies. Finally, they got rid of Tarangi out of the starting lineup. Thank God. And they've replaced him with your boy Majok Deng. 29 Supercoach points in 24 minutes. Did you like it?
I did. I think they're definitely better offensively, and that's where the Jack Jumpers have been falling short.
Mhm.
So I actually like the move. I actually think Roth's a fantastic coach
Yeah.
that has a team that he's going to struggle to achieve. I've seen in some chats, sometimes some NBL Podmasters chats and stuff like that, where people saying, "Look, if Jackies keep underachieving, he might lose his job." I don't think
No
that's the
way.
case. He's been for him to. If you have a look at this Sydney Kings team, for Jack Jumpers to even be in the conversation, to be within 9 points, in my opinion, is an achievement. But look, I liked Majok Dang at forward. As an ex Brisbane Bullets fan, maybe an ex Brisbane Bullets fan, because I've seen what they done with Ruben Tarangi. Look, I was happy to see Ruben Tarangi off the bench, and look, the starters succeeded.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Xavier Cook's 40 Supercoach points in only 24 minutes. That was elite. And first half he hardly played. Gorge just benched him in the second for no reason at all.
I was cheering as a non-Cooks owner,
Yeah.
watching this, but as he pumped out 40, I am somehow in the top 1,000. I've hit the top 100 at times this year without owning Xavier Cooks.
Mhm.
I think there's going to be 2 different types of super coaches this year, and those that adopted an early Xavier Cooks and those that didn't. He's turned into a cash cow that's made money. He's now 410K,
Yep.
getting a little bit out of reach. But as we head into 2 Sydney doubles, I think you need to find a way.
I'm starting to see some of the top teams that the guys are sort of sending me and floating some ideas that these teams are pretty elite. They've got some crazy cash cows, and I don't know how they're affording it. But PJC, Cooks, some of them even have some other sort of high 300, 400K guys in that starting lineup. So, look, there's some guys out there doing it. Tyler Robertson started this one. I think you mentioned that. 12 Supercoach points after his crazy negative break even. He started ahead of Jalen Adams, who came off the bench coming back from that injury.
Fuck, he scored well in the first 10 minutes. I don't know. I was at a wedding at Stanthorpe over the weekend, and like just watching his score, it's like, oh, I've missed out. Look, I saw the writing on the wall. I saw everyone on Twitter saying they were boosting for Robertson, and I'd felt like I missed out. He just put the cue in the rack. The coach put Tyler Robertson back in the rack a little bit later on. Barely played in the second half.
Look, Tyler Robinson's not going to die wondering. He's one of those guys who's going to take his chances, a la Elijah Pepper. But is this the guy who's going to be a starting point guard or even a meaningful contributor if you're going all the way to the finals? And I don't know. I think the answer is no. Jalen Adams, coming off injury, did play this game. He came off the bench and he played 26 minutes for 22 Supercoach points in a game that was hard to score in. He's almost a point per minute guy. He's going to find his spot back there. And then we know that backup point guard is a crapshoot between what was Bruce and Leafa, and now you add a third one to the mix. I don't see this being sustainable for anything other than running out some cash generation.
Nah, I am honestly with you there. We called him fool's gold for a reason. I just hit panic stations for a little bit when I saw him score 13 points in about the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Look, we haven't mentioned Will Magnay. 33 Supercoach points. I've held on to him, lost 2.3K this week. I call this a success considering there's been some question marks around Will Magnay all year. Of course, scored that 56. I think it's the highest Supercoach points this year by a single game. But yeah, all of these games apart from that have been late 20s. Look, 33 Supercoach points in this one is a win, and I think it's him coming against some genuine centers that is the trend with Will Magnay.
Yeah, look, 33 Supercoach points in this one was flattering. I think both games for him this weekend were probably the Supercoach score was better than what the eye test said. Tassie are just struggling. They're just so limited. There's no one else doing anything, which is meaning they can double down on Will, and he's having some trouble. He's got no backup. Look, the same as Doyle. Doyle played 37 minutes in this one. He's playing such heavy minutes. 27 Supercoach points here, but it was laboured. He had to work for every single one of them. I think he shot like 8 of 412 again. It does not look easy. And this is a guy who was the second coming of Leroy Loggins. He was smooth. He was efficient. He was like a knife through butter. And now he's everything but.
Yeah, they just need him to rest a little bit more. Look, I was more impressed with Hilton Doyle in the next one. But Jordan Crawford, again, you know what? He's been pretty good. Scored 25 real points for 28 Supercoach points. I think that's what we can expect from him. He gets his turnovers, but gets his steals. I think they're going to cancel each other out a little bit throughout the year. Crawford was good this week. I think jack jumpers are bottom feeders. I know that every time you turn on, I don't know what channel it's on because I've got KO, but every time you turn on channel 10 Bold or whatever the fuck they play this shit on, you hear the reigning champions jack jumpers. They're just not that with McVay gone.
No, they are a shadow of their former self. And look, we've talked about it before, the recruiting of that third import. I reckon he would have been great had they had McVay, but they need more. They just have no scoring punch, and it's having flow-on effects to everyone, having to try and do more, play out of position, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's affecting Supercoach points. The only other one to mention here is Clint Steindl. He started. So maybe this is the offense they're looking for. He had 24 Supercoach points, and he, for a guy who's 36 years of age, is turning back the clock a little.
Let him cook. Can I tell you, he's a tremendous head of hair for 36 years of age as somebody that does not.
100%. Luxurious, actually.
Mate, the New Zealand Breakers back again against the Wildcats. Buck Jackson Cartwright, 44 Supercoach points. How he scored these was 13 real points, 18 Supercoach points in assists. Of course, that's 9 assists, a block, a heap of points in steals, lost some points in turnovers, but Parker Jackson Cartwright is him when it comes to Supercoach.
Yeah. Once again, a perfect example of why that's unders. Another assist, and you could have picked so many examples. If a guy could have made a layup, he would have had the double-double. A lot of turnovers late as this one got close. But look, you're going to take a 40-plus score for Supercoach. if Matrix hadn't have cut me off before and let me drop breaking news, I would have mentioned the real story out of this game, though, which was Bryce Cotton.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't score well for Supercoach, so we can talk about breaking news after that. Just trying to keep people holding on.
Oh,
Yeah, Bryce Cotton went down injured, so we start to look at who are the beneficiaries of that. There's actually been some notable injuries this weekend, which I am excited to talk about.
yeah. Look, the Cotton one, he went to the hospital with suspected broken ribs. I haven't heard anything since. Have you got any news on this? Is this a
No,
wait and see?
yeah, it's just been wait and see. I don't expect him to be back in the next couple
No.
weeks. Which you know who scored really well after he went off? Ty Webster, 198k. I would be more excited about Ty Webster if another notable Southeast Melbourne guard didn't get injured this week.
Absolutely. Which is going to segue you into.
Still talking about Matt Mooney?
Okay, Matt Mooney. Look, talking
No,
about beneficiaries before we move on, though. Ben Henschel seemed to get the bulk of those minutes.
he
Now,
got some.
he had 15 Supercoach points, but he had 5 turnovers, which brought that way back down to earth. Now, if there's something we've learned from NBL 25 and probably NBL 24, is there's 2 things that you can't trust. And that is people who have 2 first names and John Riley. All right? You cannot trust John Riley that Ben Henschel will play again next round. I'm still holding him, but I'm trying my hardest to get rid of him because, look, even with Cotton out, it could just as likely be Elijah Pepper popping up next week.
Look, 100% true. You know what? It might be Elijah Pepper and Ben Henschel starting and Ty Webster off the bench, to be honest, knowing John Riley. I really like Benchel.
Yeah, that's incredible. I reckon it's going to stick.
Look, we did talk about Matt Mooney. We talked about his phenomenal round.
Mm.
Do you think that he is somebody that you could consider bringing in 2 doubles in a row, break even of 36? As you said, scored in many a way this week. He's averaged 30 Supercoach points a game, which he's still priced below. What do you think about Matt Mooney as a prospect? As we all look towards Melbourne and Southeast Melbourne players, do we just step back a week and
Yeah,
recognize
look,
greatness?
your question is, would you consider it? I've already done it. Matt Mooney and PJC are my backcourt. Look, mate, like I said before, the way in which he's accumulating those stats, it's diverse. It's giving me a lot of confidence that even if he has an off shooting night, he's going to give me something. In this one, he hit the 7 threes, 28 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Look, outside of PJC, who else is going to score on this team? They've got to
The answer
ride
is
it.
no one.
Yeah. So, look, I'm very high on Mooney. He came with some pretty big raps coming out of his previous stints. And look, I'm more than willing to roll the dice on him right now.
Yeah, I like it. And as we start to, I suppose, to see of the end of Kelly LePepe's journey on our Supercoach team, you
Yep.
start to look at people you can upgrade to. And for me, the schedule allows this.
Yep. And look,
Um,
we've got to keep a
go on.
wait and see. I know you're going to bring up a Southeast Melbourne guy in a minute who's going to be the beneficiary of an injury. If this Bryce Cotton injury is a lot more serious, they're going to take a lot more time than we first thought. With 5 consecutive doubles coming up, does Ty Webster become a play?
Look, that's what I'm thinking. 39 Supercoach points in this one, 20 real points, which we know he can do. The 6 assists are things that he often doesn't do well. I actually didn't know the man could pass, so that was refreshing. Look, 6 rebounds. He just got out there and did it all. I know you're talking about Ben Henschel being the beneficiary, and that's probably... Like, he did play a lot of minutes, but I really think Ty Webster is the real beneficiary of this.
Before we move on from this game, I think we're forgetting the elephant in the room.
Freddie Gillespie.
Smaller elephant.
Max Darling? He's pretty good.
May have come out, Mr. Max Darling, for a coming out party.
I mean, did he? He scored 30 Supercoach points for the week, 27 in one game. That's Benchel-esque.
He also scored more actual points in this game than he had in the entire 4 years previous of his NBL career.
Holy wow. I've got something for you when it comes to Max Darling. I just love playing the pokies.
That's it, mate. Look, I don't disagree with you. He's a broken clock's right twice a day. And he's been right once in 4 years, which is even less than that. Look, the price is tempting though. And he's gonna get a lot of guys, semi-aroused about this, is that he does play decent minutes every game. He's played, that 15 to 25 minutes a game. Does he go on with this? Or is this just the flash in the pan?
Well, I think that he's going to be better than his 3 Supercoach points with the minutes
Hard
that he
not to
plays.
be.
Because I think he's just going to benefit from being out there. But Keza G mentioning Darling as Snell-esque. Tony Snell once played 37 minutes for 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. I think Max Darling can do that when blokes like Parker Jackson Cartwright and Matt Mooney are cooking. When you're talking about people that can't catch the ball and people missing layups and people missing shots, I feel like you're shooting that towards Max Darling quite often.
Yeah, him and Menenga and Gillespie and anyone not named PJC or Matt Mooney, I think. But look, is Max Darling, is he a really, really, really poor man's Kelly LePepe if you squint and don't expect anything?
I mean, I wish he had a mullet. It would make it easier for me to like him. He would be more of my darling if he had a mullet, because Kelly LePepe might be the best looking bloke in the world.
Yeah.
But I do think Max Darling is going to get some cash generation. Break even of 3, I'd love to see more. But at 91K, I think if boosting to Max Darling got you Xavier Cooks for 2 weeks and
Yeah.
Nathan Sobey in the next couple of weeks, I know we're going to talk about him in a little bit. Like maybe a Shea Illy up to a Sobey or a Rob Edwards down to Sobey. If it facilitated some other trades, I'm not against it, because I think Max Darling has every chance to be as good as Ben Henschel or blokes like that on the bench. I just think we already own Ben Henschel. We're not trading in Ben Henschel. That's why we're excited about him.
All right, riddle me this. I am cleaning out deadwood in my squad. I've got a guy who's been lingering for a number of weeks. I just cannot seem to get rid of him. He's pretty much the 2024 version of the 2021 Kevin White. And he goes by the name of Lat Mayen, who had 0 prospects and now has negative prospects after the return of Jarrell Martin. Would you go Lat Mayen down to Max Darling, given that Darling at least sees the court, and it will free up a little bit of cash to push me over the edge to get a primo?
Look, I'm going to get on my elitist high horse and say, I told you not to get Lat Mayen. But then I'm going to tell you that, yes, I think Lat Mayen to Max Darling is a worthy trade. I'm not sure it's boost worthy unless the bump that you're getting is getting a bloke off a single that we talk about as a primo. I think that that's relevant, but I do think that cleaning out Deadwood, yes, Max Darling is better than Lat Mayen.
Yeah, very good.
Mate, Illawarra Hawks versus Cairns Taipans, and again, we're voting for Pedro. He's went down in cash and then went up another 22K this week. I'm so glad I traded away Kyron Galloway. I want to start with that. But I know you're a Sam Wardenberg owner, and to quote it's probably Taylor Swift. Sam Wardenberg might be the one that got away. Is that her? I don't know. Is it Beyonce? I don't
look. It sounds like her.
Yeah.
Look, mate. Sam Wardenberg. I've been happy with him. He's exceeded expectations. He's hit a purple patch. He's actually doing things that we've never seen him do before. like
play
assists
decent
and
basketball.
blocks. Yeah. Look, mate, he was probably as good as any centre this week. I was stoked.
Look, I'm disappointed. I think with having a genuine center out there like Gak, that boosts Wardenberg. I wonder with Tanner back out there, I expect Wardenberg to drop down in cash. Not that that's a huge call considering he's 300k at the moment, and I think if you asked 50 super coaches at the start of the year if you thought Sam Wardenberg would ever hit 300k, 49 of them would say no. The other one is Sam Wardenberg's mother. But look, AK Gak allows for Sam Wardenberg to be that stretch 4. I think once Tanner comes back in this coming week, I think you can ride out Sam Wardenberg for one more week, but I think he's going to be out of everybody's teams shortly after that.
Yeah, look, I plan to hold one more week while they're on the last bit of their schedule. After that, I think he will still generate a bit of cash. And if you're selling a guy, 310k, something like that you picked up for, I think it was maybe 230, 240 when you picked him up. I think that's a win. And it's going to allow you then to pivot quite easily to some of these other guys, like your Matt Hurt. Look, if Pinder was on your radar, he's dropped a heap of cash. He's below Wardenberg's price now. We'll probably discuss that Wednesday night. But look, I think Wardenberg's been one of those ones that's going to allow me to shore up the centre spot. It was a stopgap, and he's been better than what I hoped for.
Touching on stopgaps, yes, if you got AK Gak, congratulations.
Yeah.
But Lockie Ulbrich with 26 in this one has regenerated, I think, his cash generation. I think, do they head into a double this week? I know I do a Supercoach podcast and I should know this. They're on a heap of singles.
Schedule is putrid.
Yeah. Look, I was looking to get rid of Ulbrich, and I'm just super happy to see him go up in cash.
Yeah. And alongside Ulbrich is his projected cash cow running mate in Will Hickey. He had an absolute game. He's strung a couple together now.
He has. I think that he's the guy that you will want to get rid of at some stage. But I think you're super happy just to hold through this period. I know a lot of people were chatting to me about maybe trading Davo out.
Yeah.
I don't think you should do that at this stage.
I think you've got bigger fish to fry with your bench. And the way he's playing at the moment, and with a couple of those scores in his last 3, the way they are, he's still got some cash to run. So, look, while they're on a single, I think you can take the cash and look after some other issues that you have in your squad. He's not a priority for me right now.
Yep. Look, some other notable entries. Trey Kell, 37. We would be talking about it, but their schedule's putrid, so I'm going to gloss over the Darius Days. 16. I mean, he shouldn't have been holding, but he goes into a single with 77, so he is absolutely a man that you should not own this upcoming
is the guy
week.
You're going to be rooting against for the next however many weeks, hoping he drops by the time their schedule comes good again.
You say that, but if he strings together a whole heap of 16s, nobody's going to want him.
I don't know. I think I want him at like 150k. Not that's probably going to happen,
but Rob Edwards dropped 5k. Got a break even of 46 heading into a double. He's probably a hold after scoring 30 this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Mate, Melbourne United versus Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Yep.
Couple of notable injuries. Derek Walton Jr. Went down, looked like a hamstring, and that allowed Nathan Sobey to cook. Commiserations to those who added Derek Walton Jr. Early this week. I think that was still the right play, so you shouldn't be disappointed from a Supercoach standpoint. You just can't help. You honestly just can't help injuries.
No, not angry, just disappointed. But a few more beneficiaries, not just Nathan Sobey. Glover emerged from the darkness in this one and dropped 31 Supercoach points in a performance that probably everyone had been hoping for or predicting at the start of the year.
And you got to expect that from a ranger, to be honest. Yeah. You just never know. You never know.
Sneaky.
Might have the. It's up there. Do you think Southeast Melbourne have the best beards in the comp? Like when I look at Jordan Hunter and I look at Angus Glover, it's brilliant.
The question in the chat from Kez G: without Walton, how does this affect Matt Hurt? He's been on a lot of teams. He's on our radar to come in. Will Hurt's numbers go up or down as a result of this?
I genuinely think. Sorry. Apologies. I genuinely know that Derek Walton Jr. is a better passer of the ball than Nathan Sobey. I can't imagine Matt Hurt's numbers go up. I also think that Matt Hurt is good enough and integral enough in this team that I do expect him to be banging out 30s, which is about what he's priced at. I don't expect him to drop in cash. I don't expect him to rise in cash. I think that he's just going to be priced just right for those Goldilocks people at home.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be hard to say. If we had have actually got the breaking news, I would have mentioned that there's a new coach incoming to Southeast Melbourne. Sam McKinnon will go down as the greatest winning percentage of any Southeast Melbourne coach in the history of the organisation, 1-for-1 with 100%. And they've signed a bloke apparently by the name of Josh King, who's been coaching in Turkey. Now, we know when a new coach comes in, they put their stamp on it. Who knows who starts? Who knows what the roles are? Who knows how this plays? But one thing we do know is that nobody gets better when Nathan Sobey is your point guard.
Except Nathan Sobey.
True.
Which leads to the fact that Nathan Sobey at 250K dropped 92K. He was a 340K player at the start of the year. Honestly, Nathan Sobey is right up there with the biggest priorities this week for me.
For sure. Talking to guys who have emerged this week, though, the big chub is in the chat, and he's asking for a word on our Lord and Savior Malik Lewis, please. Can you give it to him, Matrix?
I'll give it to Mr. Chubb. I've really enjoyed watching Malik Lewis play. I think that he's a big body out there. I think that he's the perfect guy to be out on the floor while blokes like Derek Walton Jr., Sobey, even your Hunters and your Glovers cook. Malik Lewis is a defensive specialist that I don't expect to score 25 Supercoach points every week. I do think that if he's out on the floor playing as many minutes as he's playing, he will go up in price. But we just talked about Max Darling like that. I do wonder if maybe we've missed the boat on Malik Lewis now. I think that he's a max 185, 200K player. Yes, he might go up 50K. But at 150K, I'm not as excited about him as I was at 120K, especially with a new coach coming to town.
Yeah, look, it's always hard with young players. Is a new coach going to be one of those guys that only plays vets and thinks guys have to earn their time? I don't know. I think it's a high risk, high reward situation. I'm quite high on the guy, and I think he can put a heap of points on quickly. He's got that long, rangy game. It's the sort of thing that we've been seeing with Kyron Galloway over the years. I think that's probably a decent comparison. It's a guy with a whole heap of potential, and sometimes he puts it together, and sometimes he must just do some boneheaded stuff, and the coach just sits him, and you're just thinking, why did I pick him? So high reward, but there's definitely some underlying risk here with the coaching situation, being a young guy, and Sobey's increased role that has me putting a few question marks on it.
Mate, I know as the guy behind the mic, I don't always hit it.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
100%.
That's all I took from that. Look, Delhi with Shea out, cooked. Hurt himself in this one and come back out?
Yeah, I was sort of half watching this game. And I saw him go out, and then I checked the box score later on. He had a pretty decent score. And I thought, he ended up playing a good 30 minutes, so he mustn't have stayed out for long. But yeah, with Illy out, they struggled when they didn't have a point guard on the floor. So I would expect Delhi to be really putting up some numbers.
He cooked from the assist standpoint, and I think a big note should be that he had 9 assists, which contributes to 18 Supercoach. That's over half his Supercoach points in that one. He's going to continue to get those assists with Shea Ely out, who is the genuine point guard on this team. Rob Lowe with 25 Supercoach points. Jack White, you scroll down and see 19, and you start to get a bit worried of that break even of 74, even heading into a string of doubles. Do you hold Jack White if you own him, or are you panic trading him?
I plan to hold him. I think we've seen this all year. He's had some of these games, and it just doesn't seem to happen for him. And he's not one of those guys who's forcing it. I was going to say before that 9 assists for Delhi, I don't think a single one of them would have gone to Jack White because he was just a walking turnover. But we have short memories. We go back the last 3 or 4 rounds, and Jack White's been a 36, 38 Supercoach points a game, which I'm hoping is what we get holding over this double. And look, I don't think there's any other option. He still went up cash this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, why we've probably spent so much time on Melbourne and Southeast Melbourne is they both go into a triple double in these upcoming weeks. Apart from Malik Lewis, do you think like somebody like Kai Bowen could become a cheapie? As I see him starting to play more minutes, do you think somebody like Flynn Cameron could become a cheapie? I probably like as we start to upgrade our players. I really want Xavier Cooks this week. I'm looking for a downgrade option, and do you see anyone there that maybe we could downgrade to?
Look, I think
Tanner Krebs.
Oh no. Look, Flynn Cameron, I think, is going to be the beneficiary of Illy being out, and he's shown to be quite capable in moments. I don't know if his game always translates to Supercoach, and I have looked quite closely this year, and every time I think Flynn Cameron's going to benefit and get a few more minutes, they seem to just rely a lot more heavily on your boy, the import.
On my import friend, Ian Clark.
Ian Clark.
Oh, I was just trying to work out how he was my boy. Look,
He's your boy because I forgot what his name was.
perfect. Yeah, look, he was starting at small forward at certain times throughout the year just to get that 3-headed snake, I suppose, out there. I do think he is a better 2-guard than he is small forward. I
Yeah,
think
look,
you can still play small forward when you come over into Australia and you're Ian Clark size, though.
what's Kyle Bowen worth right now?
Kyle Bowen is 149K. That's why I wanted to compare him to Malik Lewis.
Yeah, look, I think he's a little bit of a trap. Right? He had a good weekend. He has his moments, but a lot of that, it's just inconsistent. And I don't like holding 2 guys that are competing. So if Kyle Bowen has a good game, it's probably because my starter Jack White's having a shocker. That's just something I hate when I've got 2 guys on my squad who are competing for the same minutes and same looks.
I'll let you know that in NFL fantasy we call that handcuffing yourself. So so you do it, I suppose, purposely, so that if one guy goes shit, then you've got the other guy to step up.
Yeah, but I think you're just sort of like hedging your bets into mediocrity. You're just sitting on the fence. I think, go big or go home. Risk it to get the biscuit matrix. Thought you were better than that.
I am better than that. I just wanted to explain to you what NFL Supercoaches, NFL fantasy teams do out there. I have about 1,000 of those. So
Yeah, cool. I think that. Oh, go on.
Sorry, we've got the 36ers and the Jack Jumpers with the last one, with your boy Trez and your boy Kendrick scoring 43 Supercoach points apiece. I don't know if I've ever traded out 86 Supercoach points in 1 week, and I did this week.
Look, I don't know why you traded Trez, but look, I held Kendrick. 43 Supercoach points is low. He had like 46 or 49 with about 4 minutes to go, and then just decided he just likes to turn the ball over. This is really reduced on what it could have been. It was a very, very sloppy end to the contest, but he just looked elite. And they're coming into such a long run of singles now. I think this is the end of the line for holding him, but He despite having 43, he dropped a little bit of cash, but he's up over 300, and he's my pivot to go to Mooney this week.
Yeah, I liked it. I did have to trade Trez out to get some other guns in. I just needed that money. Yeah, I would have loved to honestly trade out a Lockie Ulbrich or blokes like that. But Parker Jackson Cartwright in 2 trades without boosting was my priority this week. And yeah, did it cost me probably 10 Supercoach points this week? It did. I love Trez's matchup. I was personally happy with Trez's 43 as a trade outerer.
We talked about this last week about how this was going to be such a good matchup for Trez, that they are so thin up front, especially that power forward spot. Tassie did what I expected and got rid of Tarangi and went with a little bit more height and athleticism in Majok Deng, but he really wasn't putting up too much resistance. And we saw it again in Tassie's first game. They struggled against those bigger athletic centres. Against the Kings, we saw Cooks in that 4 spot really give it to him, and that's seeming to be the weakness. So I think we need to start looking very carefully at the 4 spot versus the Jack Jumpers.
Yeah, starting to look towards it because regardless of who's out there, there's points to be made. I was genuinely excited to see Jarrell Martin come out and play this one. They have made it very clear that he's on a minutes restrictions, but Montrezl Harrell's signed for the year as well. So I expect Adelaide to be pretty good. I expect them to play playoff basketball this year.
What do you expect out of Jarrell Martin come the end of the season when Adelaide's schedule gets real juicy? Is he going to be so slowly introduced back into the squad that he just hemorrhages cash, and we could potentially pick him up for an absolute song as they come into some form?
I'd love to think that, but I genuinely think their best team is him coming off the bench.
Yep.
Because I think Trez is so much better than him. I do think there's a chance that Trez might play backup center when Hump's off, and they do this little it's not gay if it's in a 3-way kind of thing. But I hope so, because I hope that I can pick him up at 150k because as he ramps his minutes up, but I just genuinely don't see it happening, man.
They're talking about he's going to need time to get back in shape, and if you've had a look at the bloke lately, that's going to take a lot of time.
I mean, I've been getting into shape for 8 years now.
What shape are you trying to get into?
Round.
Yeah.
But look, he is looking a little thick. I do hope that he comes back and we see him play some better basketball. I think that he's a elite NBL player. Enjoyed watching him play in America. Of course, watched his highlights and stuff in Israel. We don't get to watch too much of Israel basketball over here in Australia. It's just not on standard television, but he's been good for years.
Talking of elite, I might just shout out myself here, Matrix. The Perth Wildcats on their socials today put out a little video, and they're asking all their players, can you spin the ball on your finger? And I naively thought that, mate, everyone, especially in the NBL, can spin the ball on your finger. I reckon it was only about 30% of them that could. And then I thought to myself, I can spin the ball on my finger. So now I'm putting myself in that elite category.
I need to see this on Twitter.
Maybe I'll have to do a little spin session for you.
I'm excited for it. Mate, I suppose talking about Tassie Jack Jumpers that I'm looking to not trade in this week. Milton Doyle and Will Magnay, again, 38 and 27 Supercoach points respectively. Jordan Crawford, I suppose still rosing cash for those that went all in on him. They probably would have hoped for a little bit more. I don't think we can get too excited about talking about Adelaide until the back end of the season, though. So we should probably move into your breaking news, shouldn't we?
No, I'm done. I'm not doing it. Do it yourself.
It's time for some news from around the league.
Look, I know you're not okay with change, my friend, but quite often we change the little segments around, we change our sponsors around, and this one is brought to us Buy the standard squeeze. Look, the standard squeeze are fantastic. They've been our long-time sponsor. You can use code IFS15 to get any of their products. We can squeeze the bottle, get the perfect nip up here in the corner. We have their 4-in-1s that we can keep our coffee cold, keep our beers warm. But Matt, I want to hear the injury news this week come from your mouth.
Well, considering I've been squeezed to the end of the show, I'll keep it brief. Breaking news: Bryce Cotton out. Not sure of the timeline. Suspected broken rib. Derek Walton Jr. out. Hamstring. Wait and see on the timeline. And new coach incoming for Southeast Melbourne, a guy called Josh King. You got anything else?
Sorry, I was pouring myself a drink, just enjoying all that was. I think there's pretty good news in the fact that that there's a couple triples coming up for some guys.
Yeah.
You mentioned Derek Walton Jr. I just think that Nathan Sobey is the easiest replacement. We've had these question marks all year about Derek Walton Jr. and Nathan Sobey coexisting. Well, if any one of them's out, the other one is an ad, isn't it?
Look, I think that's it. My concern is everyone else around Nathan Sobey. We saw in Brisbane the exact same thing, and it just, it's going to bring them down. They reckon, a rising tide lifts all ships, and a rising Sobey sinks the rest. But here's a bit of news we didn't really touch on, was Taron Armstrong. He's out longer than expected. Throwing a few spanners.
I'm so glad I didn't boost Taron Armstrong in because I was so close.
Yeah. But yeah, look, that's going to affect a few people. What is the go with Jackson McCoy? They're playing Adnam. They're playing the replacement Duffelmeyer. McCoy was meant to be the second coming, and he's getting splinters.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, as an NRL fan, I know that Broncos fans aren't very high on Ezra Mam at the moment with his little I don't know if you've heard about his foray on the gear, driving unlicensed and crashing into some people. Look, maybe he's being made a little bit of an example of at the moment, but Adam Ford seems like a guy that just plays his guys, and Jackson McCoy's on the outs. So I was looking at getting him to start the year.
He's not being afforded any playing time, is what you're saying.
That's one of your best ones.
Yes.
Mate, is there anything else you want to cover, or should we just answer some questions?
I think it's question time.
Mate, let's do it.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
I'll let you answer Scott Warwick's question. Is there a world where you trained in Anticevic over Darling this week?
Ooh, I don't think so. I think Lopez returns and that eats into Anticevic's minutes. I think that's where his minutes came from. He was good in his minutes, but I think he's just going to go back to his normal role. I think Max Darling, while he is Snell-esque, does have the minutes there, and the opportunity for him to actually wake up and do something is real.
And it's not even waking up. Like, PJC probably has the highest usage in the league. And look, if Max Darling's getting defended well, he's just not going to get the ball. But we just spoke about Jackson McCoy just sitting on the pine. If Max Darling's out on the court, there's going to be opportunities. So, yeah, I do think that all those minutes just came from that.
Look, talking on Max Darling, if you're going to double PJC, which is a likely scenario, you have to leave somebody open, don't you? And if you're going to choose someone on that court to leave open, probably going to be Max Darling. And if he can hit that wide open jumper, then good on him.
I'm just not that confident in him hitting it.
You're just wondering why you're the guy who's always left open.
Oh, mate, I was not left open this week. I tell you what, that was the best 5 minutes you've ever seen from me.
Is this before or after you got suspended?
Well, I got ejected. I
Ejected.
I haven't got an email about being suspended yet. So
Yeah.
Trev, I'll give you my email just in case you pop out there. You know what? If you are coaching today, I'm going to tell him to watch my podcast because I had a big old rant on the NBA show this week as well about you, Trev. So pop in there, enjoy your 5 seconds. Alex Baker's asking, would you start Gak from Cairns over Menenga? And yeah, what do you think?
I'm assuming you already hold both of them. I reckon it's a coin toss. Look, I think Menenga's more than capable of going 20 and 20. Gak, they're on a double too. Look, I think Gak has higher upside. I'd go Gak.
Me too. If we get news that Tanner Groves is coming in, it gets
That's
a
a
lot
caveat.
more complicated. And then I go Menenga. So
Yep.
I hate to be fence sitting, but if Tanner Groves is playing this week, I go Menenga because we just see Gak's minutes dry up.
Yep.
Coincidentally, I'm not that confident in Tanner Groves playing as many minutes as he was playing before he got injured because I think Gak's been really good. I'm a big AK fan.
Yeah, I think he's exceptional. But yeah, we've seen Ford just ruin our lives before with his big man rotation. And the more bigs he has to choose from, the more he's going to ruin our lives.
Mate, gun to your head, Rob Funk's asking, Hurt or White this week?
Hurt.
Yeah, right.
Simple as
Yeah, cool. I like that. And Pat Edmonds is asking, gun to your head, Adams or Dellavedova?
Ooh, Dellavedova. I think you can hold him longer term. I think Adams is he's going to be losing cash after some pretty putrid performances. I quite high on Dellavedova with Illy out and all those doubles coming up.
In saying that, I don't think Delhi's going to make a lot of cash or
No.
anything like that. I think he's just going to score what you get.
Yep.
Whether I think that that's captain worthy is probably not the point, but I think he's going to score 28 Supercoach points a game, especially with Illy out. My concern is you're bringing Delhi in, right? Love it. And then Illy comes back, and then Delhi takes a little bit of a dive. Like, Adams is probably only going to go up from here.
See, I don't think Dellavedova is as affected by Illy playing as Illy is as affected with Dellavedova playing.
Yeah,
We've seen Illy star when he's been the only guard there, and he struggled when Delhi comes back. Delhi just goes and gets his now. He's the focal point.
No, I rate that. And I'm going to answer this one from Crafty Fat Boy. Never accept mediocrity as a bench, Mark. My name's Matty, not Mark. Would you start Jalen Adams or Pedro?
Horrendous.
Thanks, man. It means a lot, especially coming from you. This guy's asking, would you start Jalen Adams or Pedro? Lots of Jalen Adams chat at the moment. And Jalen Adams is an easy in. I genuinely think Sobey's a better trade in than Adams if you don't already hold him, though, guys.
Yeah. Look, have we got news on how bad this hammy is on DWJ? Jay?
I think it's going to be at least 2 weeks from what I saw. But no, we haven't had anything official.
Look, if we'll probably be able to answer that better on Wednesday if we get some news coming in. But I'm with you, Matrix. Sobey, if he's the only one who's got keys to the city, because like we said, Sobey's about Sobey. He's going to get his. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's saying, I'm still that guy. Pedro, look, one hot day doesn't make a summer. He's been good. Guys have been out. But we've got to remember, it was only like a couple of weeks ago, we were saying how bad this guy is, and he's possibly one of the first imports to get sent home. I'm not high on Jalen Adams. I think he's hurt me enough, and I don't want to keep going back.
No, that's fair. So you said neither?
Neither. I think we go elsewhere.
Hammer, what was your answer last week from the best looking player?
I said I have to get back to you, and I can tell you right now, I haven't given it a second thought since then. But I'll tell you who it isn't. It is not Angus Glover.
Is it Kelly LePepe?
It's definitely not. I'm not feeling the Joe Dirt, you know?
What about Xavier Cooks? Like the way that he slicks his hair back a little bit, little ponytail you could just grab.
Oh, man. We've got different types, I think. Man, look, I will get back to you with an answer. I need to actually spend some time on this before I really dig myself a hole.
A flying toilet saying that it's Michael Harris. Well, you know what? Good call.
Yeah, okay.
Here's a really good question coming from Nicholas. Thanks for popping on the stream. I haven't seen you here before. Trading in Mooney or Hurt? I'm probably siding with Hurt. I'm just curious to see your thoughts.
Look, it depends where you've got the most amount of need. See, right now, I feel like for this week at least, I have more of a priority at guard. So for me, it'd be Mooney. I can ride Wardenberg on the double at centre. But look, if it was just a straight Hurt versus Mooney with no regard to whatever's in your squad, look, I like Hurt. He hasn't scored under 30 this year. He's been really consistent. Look, a new coach, Walton Jr. out. How does that affect him? You got to factor that in. But look, I like them both. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be unhappy with either.
He's not the sort of player that I thought at the start of the year that I'd be talking about this huge consistency about. But that 30 every week just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look, the flying toilet's bringing a good point in here. Round 8 and 9, New Zealand have the singles. If you are holding PJC and Mooney, it's going to be very hard to hold both and address any other needs in your team. So maybe that's a reason to go with Hurt. Good boy, toilet.
Yeah, it's true. A flying toilet is actually a very intelligent super coacher, and that's probably the only time I'll give him that huge credit. I know that he's huge on getting behind our community team in our Discord. So get involved. Honestly, if you ask any of these questions in our Discord, a lot of people will answer it in our chat. I know David Vandergiesen, the winner of NBL Supercoach, is in our Discord. Look, just duck in, ask questions. Sometimes a different perspective is all you need. And appreciate you guys coming on the show and asking us, but we're not the be all and end all. So get involved in our Discord, get involved in our Patreon. There's lots of intelligent super coaches out there giving you different perspectives on this every week.
I'm just going to say, I'm really surprised that the flying toilet didn't put down Matt Kenyon as his most best-looking bloke in the league, because he has a thing for that guy.
I mean, when it comes to pulling ponytails.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I think that just about finishes it. I think a flying toilet's going to have to pop in my DMs to find out about the Formula One. There is talk of a Formula One podcast coming out on Insight Fantasy Sports, so stay posted. But Hammer, 2 days away. We're going to go a lot more in depth in the trades. The blokes we're winning. This was a recap show. We've got our preview show. I'm excited for Wednesday.
Yeah. And look, Matrix talked about the Discord. If you hear any news related to injuries, anything like that, post it in the Discord. Make sure we're all across it. We don't see absolutely everything that comes out. So we'll catch you guys Wednesday.
You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.